Okay, good evening. Welcome. A little bit of a later one. A little bit later, but still. Nice time to discuss the market, so that's going to be good. Good day for it. So we'll do a little introduction in a second, and then we'll dive into some of the price action, some of the charts, and some of the discussion as we head into the latter part of the week. And finally, a little bit of green. Yeah, this will be a solo stream for today. The Tensor guys, we were doing some kind of like planning back and forth, and yeah, this is going to be a solo for now. We're going to do like a kind of Tensor crew stream as well, but we're just going to get things rolling. Thought it was a particularly nice kind of day with that change in the market again to get on and stream. Of course, Barrett. Sponsor, like stream without a sponsor in 2024? What do you mean? So a little bit to the kind of like the Tensor discussions. I can't really say too much because Tensor, I don't think, would be happy if I spoke too much. But there's some very interesting stuff coming, and I'm privy to some of the information, and I think that this is going to be a cool partnership in terms of what we can do. So, one of my oldest trading friends, Sting, is obviously been at Tensor for a long time now, and has done a great job there. Such a cool thing to see him transition from where we were back in the day in Renko tick charts, sharing on Discord back and forth, calls at 3 in the morning, you know, into this new trajectory and path. So so he gave me a shout and we had a discussion, and here we are. Pump my waddle. All right, so what we're going to do is just dive into some price action, have a little bit of a discussion, a little bit more focus on the Sol ecosystem stuff here as well. I think just to kind of like naturally look into the side of things that people are going to be interested, whether or not you're a Tensor user currently or you're just playing around on the Sol ecosystem. But we're going to have a little bit of a kind of a more focused discussion around some of the Sol majors for now. And in the coming weeks, then we'll be diving into not so major coins across the board. I know you're long in BTC. I can smell it. Is it the smile? Is it the smile as I speak that gives it away? Yeah, I'll cover that off in a second. I can't really do too much on the BTC side because I'll show you this. I'll show you the setup. From earlier today, it's down here. Okay, so like this is the setup and still in position now. I'm only 50% in still from here, but this is where I took it. Foundation guys will know that this is essentially exactly when I finished streaming today. And so basically I got off stream, I immediately hit record on a live trade video and started discussing the reasons for taking this trade. Now the reason that I can't discuss it too much is that I haven't actually released that video yet. Okay. So I'm not gonna go into a huge amount of detail about what I did here. I'll let like the insane scribbles guide you to maybe what I was thinking of. But yeah, really good move on BTC in general today. Nice little 2.5% push. Meme coins once again looking strong. A little bit of a difference in some meme coins towards this afternoon, where we saw a couple of memes kind of drop off when BTC carried on. But as it stands, pretty nice conditions again. And what we're doing on BTC, which is the single most important thing really through kind of like all of this, is, you know, we're just pushing away again from this support level. So there's been lots of discussion recently on whether or not it's the daily structure that's going to win and that downtrend that we're in through here, or whether or not it's the support that's going to hold and the reclaim is what's important here. It's a really tricky area in terms of trying to trade. Okay, and like a lot of the discussion that I've been having really revolves around, you know, do we believe the market structure here, or do we believe the fact that we've got this great potential reclaim after the fake breakdown here? That's the difficulty. And unfortunately, a lot of people would have been chopped a little by the price action. Sorry, not there. That's absolutely not where they would have been chopped. Chopped here, right? Chopped again back through here, and potentially chopped again yesterday. Okay, like if this was a potential scenario where we thought that maybe yesterday that the breakdown was coming, that the markets looked weak, it's another opportunity to find yourself kind of getting chewed around and spat out by the markets a little bit. And one of the discussions that I've been having across kind of multiple channels is basically, I think this is a really important region to not be punishing yourself for the trades that you've potentially been taking through these zones, or the way that you've moved into spot and out of spot. And I like, this level was a really good trigger. The fact that we've had the potential fake breakdown, the potential reclaim, I don't think there's any kind of, you know, punishment that you need to give yourself around, you know, if you have been a little bit more reactive around here. I think that's fine. Like, what are you going to do? It's a super important level. Broke down, reclaimed, it's hanging on by a thread. Like, it's nothing to punish yourself about. It's absolutely still the most sensible level that you could have taken through here. But now we are in that position where we've got downtrending market, and really the momentum is all above this level here. It's all now above 64,000, because if we can get that break and we can shift the structure back, and we can now look at something that's going to be here. Okay, this is going to be our high or low, and we're going to break into a fresh high. If we can get that change in structure along with our reclaim, then I think this is a a really good looking situation then for BTC. And of course, without getting too carried away, we are still caught in the range. Right? This is still going to be a situation where we're going to be looking for the range high. But some potential signs of life with the daily that we've seen today. Yeah, 62.5. I think 62.5 is a nice level. Lower time frame as well. It's been kind of like a sticky point for us. If you just look through here, okay, and like ignore the even more markings that I've got now, but if we look here, this is a really congested region for us. It actually did a very good job of holding a support when we were ticking down into here on the lower time frame, and the weekend sort of climb up here. And so I think any pass through that we can get back through there, I think is probably pretty good. And then from the daily perspective, in terms of, again, an area of pretty high traffic in terms of the wicks that we've seen down there. I think Sol is more difficult than BTC at the moment, because I could argue it's at a great spot to short. All right, let's take a look. Let's get our Tensor heads on here and start looking at Sol. Okay, so I wouldn't be shorting Sol here. I've already spoken kind of about my bullishness in general on Sol and the kind of the path that I think is the simplest for Sol. And I think what you've got really through here is it is just a weekly chart that screams simplicity. Okay, that's what we've got. We've got this weekly chart, which is just so simple. Okay, and we can even simplify it further by doing this. We don't have to worry about the wicks. We can just say, look, here's the chart. This here is really important. This zone around the 135 is very important to us. Really important in 2021. Really important in the rejection in 2022. It literally, this was it, stopped us dead in our tracks, and that was the impulse to the downside. And this is a great spot to try and get this bounce here. Now again, on the weekly, if we want to add the candles back in, we can see that we've traded below here for 4 weeks. Okay, and every single weekly, we've managed to close back above that 135. There seems to be, certainly at this stage, and without bringing this kind of, expanding this out too far into realms in which I couldn't possibly know for fact, but there seems to be a pretty decent amount of demand under that 135. Okay, it seems to be a pretty decent value area for the market, and that we keep on getting back up above that 135 zone. Based on that, I just don't think that this is a shortable market. I think if you're looking on the lower time frame and scalping, then sure. But apart from that, I just don't see this market as being something that is shortable. Yeah, sold to 80 if it loses the level. Potentially. I think I've seen a lot of sold to 80 calls. I've seen a lot of sold to 80, and I think actually it wouldn't surprise me if actually people were just frozen out of Sol. Like, you just get into the mindset where, again, it's just been the classic situation. You get into the mindset when this weekly candle was kicking off and everybody thought the next weekly was just going to do this. And everybody wanted that pullback. Everybody wanted that correction on Sol. And now that we've had the correction and we're holding the most important weekly level, people want to buy it here instead. So from my perspective, I really wouldn't be surprised if we saw people getting frozen out of the next potential push. Hopefully. I mean, hopefully. I want as many people sidelined as possible, like, so my position can move up. Yeah, Jaggers, how you doing? Yeah, BTC holding the candle close level. It's doing a very good job so far. We were right down to the wire yesterday, but doing a very good job. So yeah, Sol, for me, I think this is in a really great scenario still. Lower time frame, again, we've got the structure argument. We're just like BTC from the structural side of things, that we've got our high, we've got our lower low, and we've got our lower high here. And now what we want to do is we want to see Sol push through this area. And we've got a couple of very easy zones that we're going to get. Let's try and draw a straighter line than that. Okay, we've got a couple of very easy zones through here. If we start breaking through the 155s, that sets the way up towards this 170. So we're gonna have a nice 10% move up here. This is then very important. If we're thinking about building position and the way that we're going to kind of utilize the building of a portfolio position or a spot position in Sol, then we would absolutely take those levels as something that we would be able to utilize. So we take a look here. Okay, we take a look here, and obviously we take a look in our current zone, kind of above below the 135s here. Okay, and this is basically how we set up the portfolio position when we're thinking about Sol. So what we know down here is invalidation on weekly close. Okay, this is where we're going to be out of the position on a weekly. If we're getting weekly closes down below here, we need to be out of the position. First thing that we'll note then is obviously that Sol is holding the level. Okay, so Sol is holding currently, which means that we can be a buyer. Okay, so that's the first thing. This is like our first zone that we would look at, and we'd say, right, we can potentially be a buyer in this region. We know where our invalidation is. We're not going to overcomplicate it more than that. Okay, and then basically the next step that we've got is add more. Okay, and then the same again up here. All right, and that's how we establish the position. What we're doing is we are acknowledging the weekly here. We're acknowledging the weekly chart as this being a significant region. We don't care about the Pico bottom. We just care about the fact we're still holding the weekly level. If we get strength through here and we finally get above the 155s, we can add more to the position into the strength. If we reclaim the 170, we can certainly add more, because now then our expectation would be that Sol does trade into fresh all-time highs. Okay, and we manage to get towards that 260 plus. This is just the concept then of adding into strength and making sure that we're kind of aware of that scenario and what that can look like on the upside. We don't always need to be adding to our positions on the downside. We don't always need to be looking for the fact that we want to be buying $80 Sol, or we need another retest into the 115s for some reason. Like, we can add into the strength, and we can actually determine and say, look, actually from this region, we spent the last 4 weeks chopping around this region. The next thing I actually want to see for confluence in this setup is Sol actually moving to the upside. Like, I actually want to see this, like, basically in the best possible way. I want to see it fuck off from this zone. Right? I want to see it get out of here. Okay, and then we get the move up here. So that's ideally what we want to see. And that's the strength argument that we would look at utilizing for Sol. And it all starts here. It all starts with the simplicity of actually just pushing the button here without overcomplicating the price action and without getting into a position where we are micromanaging on lower time frame with, 50x leverage in order to try and survive the small movements here. Because this is all relative. This is all relative. This is all because we're zoomed in. Emotions are relatively high. Market's been selling off. It doesn't feel great. And therefore, what we have a tendency to do is to zoom in, spend a little bit more time on the charts, consider multiple outcomes, finally start thinking about the bearish picture. Okay, finally start dreaming about Capo being correct for once. All of those sort of things. Instead of following the plan and the simplicity of the weekly or the higher time frame charts that still say bull market correction, everything's fine. Right? Don't overthink it. Holding the weekly level, everything's good. Then we'll take a look at some of the other Sol Eco stuff. Oh, let's look at PopCat then. I think it's a good shout. I think this is a really good reclaim. I think this is a really, really good reclaim. Like, to me, this is a great looking chart. Really is. Breakdown, not great. Okay, that's been holding a support. You got like your mini bullshit head and shoulders, cock and balls pattern here. And then we get the breakdown. This reclaim is really good. Straight back above that neckline, that support. 4-hour chart finally starting to tick over here. Higher time frame reset nicely as well on the RSI. Daily back down to the 50, tapping into the former level over here as well at 45. It's a bit of a monster. It's a bit of a monster. So absolutely one to keep an eye on. We know what memes are like as well. And one thing that's very important for a lot of people is to make sure that you don't take the thought process of thinking that you've missed the move. Popcat's up, what, 25% on the day. And I think there's a potential to think that you can't then trade it. It doesn't matter. Okay, coins like this can continue significantly higher. And it doesn't matter what percentage it says it's done on the day. Okay, it can continue higher. If you've got the signals there that basically are giving this the green light, what you have to do is manage your risk. That's your job, okay, is to manage your risk. How do you position for this? How do you take a slice of the pie, all right, without getting burned? Because we know that the volatility is greater on a market like this. We know the percentage moved is greater than other markets. So if you just go in here and just whack a full position size with no real care for it, you can get burned. But if you can adjust your position sizing to account for the increase in volatility, but also acknowledge that if you have a smaller position size for this, you have more stickiness in your position, you have more potential to survive the back and forth of the market, and you can make more money on the upside. If you have a higher value position that you need to manage more, you might close it down 2 or 3 times for a loss. You might close it down 4 or 5 times for a loss. You're chipping away at your potential profit when you finally catch the move. For a lot of people, simply reducing the position size to be able to survive and have the tolerance to the market is actually far more profitable than thinking you need to size up. All right, that's the psychological speech that goes along with that. Would you consider potential daily bull divs on older shitcoins, or wouldn't bother? Fuck them. Honestly, fuck them. Play the shit that's hot. Like, fuck all the old stuff, man. Like, we've seen it already on stuff. You know, I was kind of posting about stuff like Matic. Like, we've seen stuff that just... The discussion that I was having, the thread that I put out, was basically like, is the market already kind of making some of these coins obsolete? And I genuinely think that could be happening. I genuinely think that the market could already be phasing out some of these coins. We see a lot of markets that have lost important weekly levels. We see a lot of markets that have actually undone the entire run-up of the last 6 months. So they're not even just correcting a percentage of the move they've had. They've just fully undone all of the work that they've put in. So they were less significant in terms of the percentages they moved in the last 6 months. They've undone all of those percentages anyway. And I just think from that perspective, you're far better just focusing on the new and shiny stuff. So a bunch of things about whiff to $1. I think $1 is just just really like a meme total. It's probably just like an engagement total, really. Like, I don't know why $1 would be significant in any way. Doge to $1? Nah, 4.20. But like, I don't know why a dollar would even really be a thing. That's some significant pullback, though. That's some monstrous correction. So what we've got up here is obviously we've got the meme head and shoulders. We've been discussing this quite a bit on the Sunday streams, actually. And this 320 region being important for WIF. Looked as though it had a really good reclaim here, did really well, looked as though it was pushing away on Monday, failed back down underneath. So again, it just needs to be above this 320. We might see a resistance region here. Where you've got concern is the breakdown of the neckline. So if we do have a sell-off and we do end up crushing through this region here, then yes, we're going to be heading lower and probably nastily so. Do we get down to $1? I would be surprised if we got down there. I think, you know, moving down potentially through the 190s would be nasty enough from where we are. It's a 50% discount even from just today's price. Like, just getting down through this zone here, you know, lands is in sort of the 170 region already. I don't know why it would come down here. I don't know why $1 would be significant, aside from the fact that it's easy to type and it causes a reaction. I think it's lower than $1 if it really goes, you know, something horrific happens, then I think it's lower than $1. But for now, everything seems chill on this. Yeah, credible crypto bets it goes to 1.5 or so. As credible like swapped. So there's a couple of people kind of referencing a more bearish angle that he's taken at the moment. Like, has he kind of like swapped teams for a little bit here? Because obviously he's been like he was one of the earliest people. Like, I remember debating with him on BTC at like the 27Ks and being like, not flipping bullish until we get through 31, and he's just been bullish for a while. He thinks memes are overextended. I think they're overextended here. I don't think you could say they're overextended after a month of this. And even when you look at like the higher time frames, you know, like this is a corrective market. This is a market that's in a correction, same as BTC. His thesis is 67, 52. We don't go 52. We don't go 52. And I don't say that because I'm super bullish and I think that we hold above 52, but 52 isn't the bottom. If we get down towards 52, we go sub 50. 100%. Well, actually, on the stream earlier, I said 95% chance. I'll reiterate that. 95% chance. Sweet 52s, yeah, 10% lower. That's the plan. All right, let's get some more Sol stuff on the go. That was pretty nice though, actually, the run through Popcat into Whiff. That was a nice little back to back. Let's look at some of the J's. This is a really interesting market as well. Same structural argument with Sol. All right, low, lower high, lower low, lower high. Wants to break, needs to get through. Little pocket of resistance through here around the 120s. Same thing, really simple higher time frame chart. Thoughts on stuff like Pups and Wizard? Waddle Waddle Pengu. I hear that's a very good rune. I don't know though, but just what I've heard. BTC, we done it, Al. We did it right at the start, man. Right at the very start. That's how we kicked off. You got to be punctual, dude. You see, you missed the stuff. You missed the juice that you needed. Bonk. Yeah, great shout. I got a lot of shit drawn for Bonk because it's very similar to the Pepe setup. Really, just less strength demonstrated so far. And agreed. Like some of you guys have been talking about Pepe already to be like, you know, it's got a really clean higher time frame chart. And then, you know, kind of lots of asks for Pepe. We'll take a quick look at Pepe afterwards. But yeah, you know, I think even the Bonk chart basically is the Pepe chart, but Pepe's up here. That's the difference. They both did this reclaim here. So really significant level on Bonk here. Got the push, got the rejection, got the retest, got the push away again. But Pepe is up here now. Okay, Pepe got through its first resistance region back inside here. Need to see it above here. Same discussion as Sol, right? You've got your invalidation. You've got your potential kind of like mid-range point of where we are now in this little top section. We know we need to recover here. We know we need to recover here. And then we can start targeting here, here, here. And so again, we've got our boundaries in terms of what we'd be looking at here. Higher time frame perspective, I think this still looks great. I really do. I think this was super aggressive out of the bottom here, and again, a huge correction in terms of what we've seen from the highs. What are we off the high here? Like 75% correction. That's a ridiculous number. Right, ridiculous number. Huge recovery back in. Look at the recovery candles here, even back up to here. Right, 2x straight into the recovery. Reclaims the bottom of here. Great, great, great job. And now just back into this top section where I think, yeah, we can absolutely understand that we might chop around a little bit more inside here. Yes, in both. I basically got the Van Eck meme portfolio, right? Even though I kind of, you know, was playing into the fact that I wouldn't do that. I think that's a really, honestly, I think it's such a good fucking portfolio makeup. I really do. Credible saying the road to 100k BTC will suck liquidity out of memes and alts. Maybe. What's the Van Eck meme portfolio made of? Whiff, Bonk, Pepe, Doge, Shib, Floki. That's their meme tracker index. And actually, I think the report was dated a while back, because actually the poorest performers in the portfolio was actually Whiff, was actually one of the poorest performers. So obviously it wasn't pre-run. So yeah, go to DTF. Exactly, man. Like imagine that shit. The write-up's really cool as well. You know, they talk about it, you know, the coins being for entertainment purposes, but essentially they have like communities and cults now. It's amazing to see, you know, kind of somewhere at an institutional level writing about fucking Bonk, man. Like, you imagine having to sit down to a fucking room of suits and say, we're looking today, guys, at Bonk. Yeah, you imagine that? Like the old dudes in there, like, what is that? New type of Bond? Yeah. Yeah, just repeating the catchphrases. Yeah. Yeah, so interesting stuff though, as I said, and from my perspective, when we think about the meme coin side of things, and certainly from the Sol perspective, you know, Sol is still the best positioned ecosystem in terms of meme seasons. It did by far the strongest job in terms of bringing people into the meme space. It's produced significantly the best returns from meme coins and the coins with the strongest run-ups. So I think there's a very fond association with the Sol ecosystem from anybody that's interested in meme coins. And probably a lot of people have found themselves now, you know, actively using Sol, or, you know, kind of more engaged with the ecosystem in general. Number one, because of the run up of Sol price and the potential bullishness and catalysts there. And then just because of the way that the environment has been on the Sol side of things. So despite the fact that Coinbase, I think, produce a very good narrative for what has the potential to be very strong in terms of, you know, the retail participation, for right now, Sol is still clearly, you know, evidence-based, the strongest. So yeah, we've still got like a really nice environment on that side. And like I said, I wish I could say more on the Tensor side. You know, I wish I could just. This looks fucking great too. Really nice original level here, but a little bit like BTC when we think about kind of the bottom of the range and the way that we've interacted with this level since. Because, you know, important here, huge move through, huge move through, huge move through. So the reason that I kind of say huge move is because whenever we've got a support or a resistance level, one of the things that we really like to see is we like to see large candles that then pass through those zones. And the reason we want to see those larger candles is because it adds legitimacy to the level. Okay, so when we see like clear resistance, huge breakout candle, right, it solidifies our thought process that this was a big deal, okay, to get through here. And actually, you can just see that there were really big reactions through 360 on JTO multiple times, which is unhelpful because it's like the bottom of the BTC range. It's like, okay, it's like take spot exposure, close spot exposure, take spot exposure, close it again, retake it again. So we want to see it moving away from this zone. But I think the 4-hour chart here is actually really, really nice for it from where we are currently. Really good movement down again into this sort of 360 pocket that we've got down here. RSI coming back down to the 50. And now hopefully some momentum through this zone here at $4. You know, nice round number kind of total to try and push through. What about Dubs? Yeah, let's have a look. Yeah, I don't like this chart at all. We were talking about this because I think like Cred and Don covered it on a stream maybe. And like we were saying, you know, there's a level somewhere in here. It's a little bit awkward because of this spike up, but you know, there's some form of resistance basically around 70 cents through here, 69 cents for the memes, you know, somewhere here. And then I think lots of people started talking about it here because it looks like the range breakout. And then unfortunately, this just fails again. And then the discussion that we were having is like, well, it really depends on where this is. Because if you actually look slightly further down, you can map this level instead. And again, this makes a relatively compelling region. Because now look how marking this level changes this. So we're now not back inside the range like we were kind of up here. Right, down here, retest in, sell off. It now is a situation where actually this is still okay. Now, the reason for that is because, again, there's quite clearly resistance at several pockets along here that reacts off this 65 level. Then what you also notice is the fact that any time that we spike above 65, we immediately get slapped back down. You notice the way these candles react. Above here, nope, not having it. Above here, nope, not having it. Does it every single time. Right? There's 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 4 sets of back-to-back green and red candles that immediately reject the level. And what we said was basically, well, if it loses this, there is no question then that this has fallen back inside an area that we would not want it to. Okay, we've given it the benefit of the doubt in terms of having a legitimate thought process about both this zone and this zone. And if it fails this level here at 65, then we cannot give it any more kind of like bullish credit here. So as it stands, I don't like the way that this is set up. Obviously, you're going to have resistance here at 65. You're going to have resistance again at 69. But from a higher time frame perspective, not a big fan of this. The one hope that you would give it is potential higher low on the market structure, and you want to challenge here to cement that. But yeah, I'm just not a big fan. Now, the Tensor side of things, I don't particularly want to chart like too much. It's a range, right? It's a range. Done. Thoughts on things that had a big run up but are now relatively weak? Like INJ. Again, they've all got like areas you can play back into them, but just kind of in this no man's land territory here. I think you've got to love INJ to want to build a position just here out in the middle of the sea, basically. I think you've really got to have a fundamental belief in INJ to do something here. Otherwise, this is a pretty awkward chart. Do I think it goes lower than 18? I would be surprised. Something's got to happen again across the board in crypto for these markets to already, want to sell off more than 66% in a bull market. Like, that's already a disgusting pullback. Like, I even hate calling it a pullback, because at 66%, it's a slaughter. It's not even like a pullback. Pullback makes it sound nice and friendly. Right? They fucked this. I think when it comes to coins like this, my personal approach is you don't need to have the bottom. You don't need to build at where you think is a bottom region. These coins have all proven that all you need to do is take an entry when something is finally running. Like when it's actually moving to the upside, then you can take a position, because this market just rewards participation on the long side. And so again, I wouldn't kind of fret trying to build or like hop in or overanalyze the potential weakness versus the prior strength. I would just hop into it if it starts getting some momentum back. Those side of things is fine. Back above here at 16.5 is the problem zone. You want to be back above here. That's where we've been getting the lower time frame resistance. Okay, here. 16, 16.5. That's where we want to get through. 16.5, I should say. But again, apart from that, not too much to overanalyze with it, really. Still in this kind of, corrective period again. Down significantly from the high. Finally taking out the 2 weekly lows here from back in March. Still looks nice overall. And this is also talking about, just the kind of the higher time frame view on BTC. Just talking about the former corrections that we've had when it comes to BTC, and this correction is nothing out of the ordinary. Despite the 4 weeks feeling like 4 months, there's nothing out of the ordinary about the correction that we're actually receiving. It's just because we're caught up in this patch of time where everything feels so fucking slow, and it feels like we just can't catch any significant momentum to the upside. Everything's kind of undone. We're back in round trip territory. We're back in being tricked psychologically into believing that finally the range has broken down, or finally the range has been reclaimed, and then we stutter again for another week. But actually, in terms of when we zoom out and we look at former corrections in the market, it's absolutely still within the realms of what we would come to expect. The other thing that I think is really important in an area like this is that it also gives us some appreciation that the market is not actually choppy. Okay, lots of people have been referring to this, and me myself sometimes I get caught up in this thought process as well. But like, this market is not choppy. You zoom out and you look at a weekly time frame. This market is just correcting. It's very clear. There were 4 back-to-back red weeks. It's not chopping. It's correcting. It's selling off. We were at a daily downtrend. Okay, it's selling off. But back to what I said earlier in the stream, lots of people are zoomed in on the lower time frame, and that's where it feels choppy. That's where we're getting the back and forth price action. That's where the trading accounts are taking a hit. When we zoom out, perfectly in line, but also quite clearly just under correction. Amazing team, and it's completely bottomed out right now. Easy multiples on gains. Damn, man, if only it was like that, huh? If only that's how it was. I thought he was talking about Tensor. Yeah, I mean, I could have just changed the ticker, right? I got to take a look at this on the other screen. I got to take a look at this. Oh no. Wait, did you just buy it right now? Am I looking at the right shit here? Yeah, Ondo. Just back-to-back Ondo comments. Jesus Christ, that market, man. We'll take a look at Ondo now. Amazing team? I gotta look at this more in more detail now. $8K volume. 500K market cap. Holy, you in the trenches, boy. Completely bottomed out. Great team. Easy multiples. Isn't it just like every other like Sol meme coin with like that just takes that art style and damn. Oh yeah, what's the consensus on this, by the way? Pyth or Pyth? What's the general consensus here? For me, it's always Pyth. Nah, see, look at this. Pyth? Fuck off. Pyth. Pyth? Like Python? Yeah, Pyth like piss. Yeah, okay. So, guys don't even know. That's bullish, though. Unironically, very bullish. Right, one of the things very important, I think this is from Wall Street, right? If the ticker causes problems in terms of discussion of how to say it, good, that's bullish. Fundamentally, very bullish. Yeah, some of you boys way off. It's Pyth, 100%. Bro, type in the ticker back doesn't clarify how to say it. You gotta get into, you know, like the phonetics with it. This is an interesting chart. Has anybody been memeing wedges on this? It's immediately, like, as soon as I see this, I immediately want to draw a wedge on this. I don't know if it's gonna fit, but the TA alarm in my brain just says draw a wedge on it and see if it works, because it's kind of got that pattern. Ah, holy shit. We've done it, boys. We've done it. This is sending. Oh god, it fits here as well. Oh yeah, look at the risk reward here. Holy, wedge it, meme it into existence. Jesus. So, I mean, look, the reason that this is interesting, okay, and I started before I got into like the meme wedge stuff. The reason this is interesting is actually because of the RSI position here. It gets a little bit awkward here with the move nearly back to the midpoint, but what we actually have here are three clear lows, and we actually still have our 3 higher lows on the RSI. So even though this isn't a divergence that you would look inside a textbook and see, it is still interesting to note that each of the sell-offs has carried less momentum than the one before it. So it is an interesting chart. And again, if you can find some momentum here, or Sol manages to make a move, or the market as a whole turns greener, this is a really great opportunity to try this. You've even got like the lower time frame breakout you can play into here. So what we know is, just from points of confluence, we've got kind of like positioning into a potential breakout confirmed in the next minute. All right, shit, I need to get off stream before this becomes financial advice. You get like your lower time frame resistance through here, and this classifies now as your breakout. You don't want to see price trading back below there. You certainly don't want to see price coming down here again, because we've got some higher time frame confluence that we might use to add to the position. Right, remember here in terms of our higher lows, even though we're selling off. So I think you've got a really nice potential looking setup to take a try on, but not financial advice, and don't trust me with anything, certainly not finances. All right, that brings us nicely towards the 1 hour mark. That was a pretty good Sol market turnaround and look. We'll see if BTC can actually make the push or the hold at 62.5. Doing pretty decent things on most time frames now. I don't care. I'm selling my house to market buy. Oh, no. Oh, no. Since I sleep in the night and you're awake, can you manage my Pyth trade? Yeah, I think that's legal, right? Yeah, just send me your login details. It'll be fine. I can probably do that. Ondo, all right, yeah, Ondo. We'll finish up with Ondo. Fair point, fair point. Yeah, giant higher time frame range. Thank you for tuning into the stream. Goodbye. It's choppy as hell. It's choppy as hell. I've taken like another failed attempt to long this fucker to try and get out of this resistance at 85, and this fucking seller keeps on reappearing. But just a nightmare on the kind of the lower time frames. Again, higher time frames still fine, but a market that I think is still super, super interesting. The correction from the high down to this low at 55 is also significant as well. You know, we're talking about the 50% correction points again. We're still holding in this zone. So we're really now just chopping between 84 and 70. That's kind of our region. We know that 85 is causing a problem. We know that we've got this series of kind of like lower high spikes all the way through here as well. So really what we need to do is we need to break a high and we need to stick it. If we can clear a high, then this is just going to send, I think. You know, it's just going to attack, fresh highs. But it needs to stick. At the moment, every impulse that it has just becomes one of these lower high spike points and then is sold off into. If you do not believe that this time is different, then obviously what you're looking at doing is selling into any impulse that we have, right? One of these spikes, one of these kind of 12-hour run-ups that Ondo goes on, and then shorting it. Right? That's basically what you want to take. Okay, so we'll wrap up there with a nice, clean, concise 1 hour overview into the markets with a majority focus on Sol markets, all brought to you by Tensor. So we're going to be having plenty more stuff kind of on the Tensor side, a lot more discussion. We're going to be bringing some of the guys into the stream, having a chat, a little bit more kind of like laid back, relaxed. And then when I can say more, I can say more. That's all I'll say. But I think that this will become a very interesting place to check into when the schedule gets rolling. I think that you're gonna wanna tune in and come and sit for a while, because there's some stuff, right? There's some stuff. Yeah, we're going to stick to YouTube for this just so I can separate between really. Like, I've got my Twitch base, and one of the things as well is like I've been really shit on YouTube. I've been really shit. Some people prefer YouTube to stream. Some people prefer Twitch. You know, my Twitch guys have been with me for 4 years on Twitch, and so you know that's really still my home. But we'll see. We'll see if it's a case of actually Twitch works better, then we'll switch to there. There's no problem with that. But yeah, thank you for joining me. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of the evening and a very successful end to the week. Last stream on Sunday, so usual place on Twitch on Sunday night, and that will be the last one for a couple of weeks. Not the last one. That sounded a little bit bad. It will be the last one for a couple of weeks. And a big thank you to Tensor for kind of, you know, discussing this with me and establishing the plan around what we're going to be doing. And as I said, very, very excited to share more with you on that side of things. And as soon as I can say more, I will. But like I said, I know they're probably already like sweating with me even bringing up this point multiple times. So we'll leave it there before I get in trouble. All right, everybody enjoy. Have a great weekend. And I will catch you on Sunday night.